Hello, everyone. Today I'm joined by my great old friend Peter Torres. So,
Thank you.
yeah. So, for those of you that don't know him, I actually was fortunate enough to train with him. That's how I actually met him. And so, Peter, how are you doing today?
I'm great. I'm happy to be here and thank you.
Yeah, it's good to hear. I remember before, like a while back, I remember you told me that you actually did a little work in like Hollywood and stuff. How was that?
Yeah, it was great. Since I grew up in a small town, I just wanted to get out of here. As soon as I got to high school. Well, as soon as I got out of high school, I was like, okay, I want to be in the movies. But one of the things I wanted to escape was that too. But once I finally got to Hollywood, I was like, okay, I'm here. How do I get into all the work? Because there's work everywhere, but there isn't like somebody out like with a job application. So I just did a bunch of research and I found out the easiest way was background work. Um, it's pretty simple to get into background work. You just have to go to like major companies that specialize in that, specifically Central Casting. They're probably the biggest and the most reputable one.
Okay.
And the that last part is really important because anytime you work for Central Casting, usually they take care of you. Um, you get fed on time, you get breaks, and they don't go over like 12 or 16 hours. Sometimes they do, but they'll usually let you know. But on other sets where it's like they pay less or you don't find out that you're not getting fed until the day of, and then that's
Oh,
not very well. But yeah, I was doing that. And when I landed my first one, it was basically I signed up and then you have to call. This was like how things are back in the day. It's not usually how it is now. You'd have to call a line and then they would give you all the parts that they need to fill, like eight, 18 to look 18 to look younger. That's usually what they use for somebody that's like playing high school
okay.
or college. And then if they have like other ones, it's 20 to 30 or 40 to 50. But there was a ton of 18 to look younger, so I was getting booked pretty regularly. But that first one was pretty crazy walking on the Paramount lot,
Oh, wow.
and it's
You
just
actually
like
walked on
wow,
Paramount.
yeah. But unfortunately, they just you get to Paramount and you're like, okay, find the lot, find the stage, and like there's no guide or anything, and you just in this huge lot, and you have to look for a spot. I mean, you have to have time ahead, or else you could be late. And it's a mission. There'd be times where I'd almost be running late, but on this one, I was very fortunate where it was in a big area. It was a set of over 300 people, and we were just shooting for I think it was School of Rock, some kids show on Nickelodeon, but
Oh,
we
okay.
were there 16 hours and I was not prepared for 16 hours. Like nobody gave me a
16
heads
hours.
up. And we were outside in the cold, phone died, everything. That's the thing that I didn't realize about Hollywood is like how much they work. Like a 16 days, like pretty common. It's rare if it's like an 8 hour day or a 12-hour day.
Oh, wow.
Uh, After that first one, I kind of got the hang of it and then started booking more and more. Um, that last like calling in that lasted about like 1 or 2 years, and now after COVID and everything, they just send out text messages asking if you're available, and then you just say that you are, but that doesn't mean you haven't that you booked it yet until you get a call back. And sometimes it could be late at night, sometimes it could be in the morning. They have rush calls. That's
Okay.
basically where somebody cancels and they need you to rush over right away. And they don't
Oh,
pay you
wow.
any extra for rushing over, unfortunately.
Oh, I'm surprising. So wait, you
Yeah,
said you were in School of Rock on
yeah,
Nickelodeon?
yeah.
So, so if we were to scroll through like the episodes, we would see you on this.
This one, not so much because it's kind of I was in like the group and like in you're playing like the crowd in a concert. Like those are like
Oh,
typically the
okay.
harder ones. But the first one where I appeared was probably on my block, season one, and
Oh,
that was in Pasadena. That was a pretty crazy shoot day.
oh, wow.
Like none of us knew like how popular it was gonna be. We were all just suffering because of the heat. It was like 115 degrees in Pasadena, and we're filming on this bleachers, and they have a shade, and they had this like I had like two ladies next to me, like right here. The one on the right passes out, and this other one has to be carried by the paramedics. And I'm just like, I'm fine. I'm sweating, but I'm fine. And it just shows like they, you got to be ready and expect the worst. And if the best happens, then you're lucky. Because I've also been on good sets. Uh,
Okay.
that one was pretty fun after it cooled down a bit. Um, but once I came out on TV, I was like, okay, I think this is it. I made it from this point on. And you end up getting booked on better sets. Probably, I'm trying to think of the best one that I was booked on, or the most fun one. The ones that I got shown a lot on TV, those typically weren't the funnest. Usually the ones that are fun are like whenever I did a Target commercial. And this was booked through someone that's similar to Central Casting. They had background gigs for TV, movies, and commercials, and this happened to be a commercial for Target. I got booked 3 days, and I wasn't in the shot once. They moved me. They're
Oh,
like, "Oh, we're gonna put you over here. You know what? Let's move you over there. You know what? Let's move over here. You know what? Just step off real quick." And then they never put me back on. And I got paid those 3 days just to sit in holding, which is like the lounging area, and they have free food, free snacks, especially because it was on the lot. Typically, the ones that are on the lot, those are the best ones because they have more resources. If you're on location, those are typically the worst. They're because the studio they paid for the permits, they paid for the land to use, and they're going to use it as much as they can and spend the least amount on anything else, anything and everything else.
okay. So would you say have you actually so you've done like commercials, but you've also done like TV shows as well. But
Yeah,
would you say that was any of that like in LA by any chance or no?
yeah. They're all throughout. That's one of the unfortunate things is that they're studios and they're shooting everywhere. So sometimes I'll have something down the street where I was staying at Northridge, or sometimes I would have to go to Hollywood, which is probably the worst ones because that's where the traffic is terrible.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then I've had ones where they're like 2 or 3 hours away, but it's still technically in LA, like City of Industry or Ontario, kind of getting towards like the San Bernardino area.
Oh, okay.
And you just start putting tons of miles and miles on your car. But it's typically all in the area. One time I did get paid. This is okay. This is probably the funnest one that funnest gig that I was on. This for the show Goliath on Amazon Prime. They were looking for a bunch of Mexicans to go yeah, to go with them to Santa Ynez, kind of like wine country, because we were
Okay.
shooting a quinceañera scene in in a vineyard that was supposed to be like a cartel's vineyard, you know.
Yeah.
So they paid for us to travel to Santa Ynez. They paid for our hotel the first night, and then we had to wake up at 5 in the morning, and it was like freezing in that area. So we had to get ready and everything, and then film. And then towards the end of the shot, well, towards the end of the day, we were filming, like we're having a good time, and they had like prop champagne and everything. But the director didn't like that we were pretending to drink. And he was like, actually pop the bottles and drink it and
Oh,
pretend like you're having a good time. And I
oh.
was 17 at the time.
No.
And so the waitresses would come by and give me some, and I'd be drinking. We would all be tipsy, having a good time. And then towards the end, if they're getting like a close up or it's a shot that's on location but somewhere else, then the rest of the background could like chill, um, socialize, and then just get take in the landscape. And it was pretty well. Like the vineyard was beautiful, and it was a we got paid for 3 days, even though it was like 2 days, and it was easy. Like it's probably one of the most funnest ones. I met people on that set that I'm still friends with today.
Oh well, it's good. Seems like it was the whole like thing was an adventure for you.
Yeah. Because when you first go out there, you have no idea how it's gonna go. People that live out there, they kind of have an idea of how everything is,
Yeah.
but you, I kind of set myself up to be like, disappointed because I was like, oh, I made it, I'm here. But then you could be this close to it, but if you're not actually in it, if you're not actually getting the speaking roles, then you could start to feel like an outsider. And that's what I started to feel towards the end of my time in LA was like you're right there. You could see the director, you could hear him, you could hear him giving notes to the actors, and you're just like, man, how do I get there? And that's
To
the other part of Hollywood, the hard part, auditioning.
get the
And
spotlight, right?
yeah, like going into an audition and you see like 10 other guys that look like you, and you're like, oh man, you got to stand out.
Right. Did you ever consider anything like overseas or no?
I would, but I would apply, and whenever they would have like a gig, they would, all that would be included, the visa, staying there. But anytime you would book something, it would be a buyout. So like most of the time, whenever you do something, you get royalties. Well, they don't like that. They don't like paying royalties at all. So it's standard to just buy you out, and which could be really good if you want the experience, but in the long term, it doesn't really make you that much money,
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
especially if it's like international, like China. Because I was on a Chinese movie, but as a background, but like I don't know what happened to it. Like I don't know if it was successful or not, or if like I'm a star in China, there's no way of finding out until like
Oh,
it's
wow.
already years past.
Do you even know the name of the movie?
No, I don't. That actually happens a lot. They keep you in the dark because they don't want you to be like, oh, I was on this movie, or if you take pictures of a set, which you're not supposed to, like if you post it, nobody's gonna find it if they never gave you the right name.
Oh, okay. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Oh, and probably another thing that's pretty irritating almost, it's like you're right there, and I've been on set with like big actors, but the rule is you can't talk to them unless they speak to you first. And if
Oh,
you're
really?
having a
Okay.
yeah, and if you're having a good conversation with them, you always have somebody like peeking in, like an assistant or someone that has power, and they'll just like pull you aside and be like, no, no, you can't do that.
Okay. Oh,
And
wow.
you almost feel like a prop almost. I've been on
Yeah.
sets where it doesn't feel like that, but a lot of them, the majority feel like that.
Okay. Did you meet any actors? Like, or like did you see any like big ones at least?
I saw like there's a lot of actors that you can't even get close to, like The Rock. He just always
Yeah.
has an entourage. Um, I was on set with Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon for the morning show, and I was close. I was really close, but she had like three or four people like around her at any given moment. Like she couldn't be alone at all. But I could have sworn I caught her checking me out. Could have just been like eyes wandering, but it looked pretty good. But and I came out on that shot. But typically it's not like that on the smaller sets. It is like I was on a commercial for Kenzo, this brand, this clothing brand, and they hired Mila Jovovich from the Resident Evil series. And she showed up like out of nowhere, and she was like, "Oh, hi everybody!" And she was taking pictures with everybody. She was like hitting her jewel with other people. She was having a good time, and I was just like, "This is rare. Like you don't really meet people like that. If
Yeah,
anything,
that's true.
it's kind of like the opposite. Um, like James
Yeah,
Corden.
yeah, you don't want to do anything with the fans. Yeah, I know what you
Yeah,
mean.
but like specifically, I was on this game show set with James Corden, and he's like the happiest guy on TV, right? But as soon as the camera's cut off, it's just like, and he doesn't talk to anybody.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so you get to see a lot of like who's genuine and who is really an act. But like a lot of the big stars are usually genuine, like The Rock. He's really genuine. Rob Lowe, I was on set with Rob Lowe. He's a good, funny guy.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Did you actually get to meet with The Rock, or was it just like from a distance? Would you say
Yeah, it's from a distance, it's tough.
from a distance? Okay.
Yeah. And as soon as you see as soon as as soon as it's one background person talking to the principal actor, then
Yeah.
everybody like gets the green light, okay. And then that's what happens. But that's why I kind of get like they don't want anybody talking to them, but it's hard not to when you're right there.
Yeah. No, that's true. It's like tempting.
Yeah, and you see the director and he's talking about this, and you're just like, I just want to ask him this real quick, or I just want to put this input, but you can't. But
It's
that's
interesting.
that's probably one of the good parts is you like you're while you're there, you could absorb everything. You could
Okay.
see all the equipment they use, how many people they use, what's everybody's job, and the kind of ridiculous jobs that you see in Hollywood. Like specifically, there's this one guy's job who's just to hold the camera for the cameraman. That's all he does. He's just
Really?
sitting down, and then once the cameraman is done with the shot, he just gives him the camera and he holds it. And that's all he does all day. And I'm just like,
Did you work with anything to do with like animation or anything by any chance? Or was it strictly
mm,
just in like live action?
strictly live action, but I would love to be a part of animation. And I don't know how it is post COVID, but pre COVID, there was a lot of animation, like voice acting, a good website for voice acting for commercials and animation is Casting Frontier. Casting
Okay.
Frontier is like strictly commercials. But if you get one gig, you could slowly branch out and then do more and more. It's kind of like you build momentum in the voice acting game. Yeah,
Interesting.
because I never really
I'll have
met
to
someone.
consider that.
I never met one person that had just one voice acting gig. It's usually like the start of many.
Okay.
Yeah, and it
Have
just
you
makes
ever
sense.
considered that? Or
I did before, but I feel like I don't have like the voice, like
yeah,
especially like to make characters. Like it's almost like a muscle. You have to work on it. And
yeah.
then you meet some people or you see some people that are just like they blow it out of the park. Like specifically like Seth MacFarlane, he could do like 20 voices, and I'm like struggling to do one that's not my own.
Yeah. No,
But
it's a kind of like an art in a way.
exactly, yeah, and it's all an art over there. Acting, the way you present yourself. Like you see some people really work and bring incredible performances out. Like if you were like in a play almost, but
Really.
it's even crazier because when you're in a play, you have like the stage, the crowd is like dimmed. You don't really see much, but when you're on a set, like even a small set could have like 50 people on crew and like another 20 background, and everybody's working around you, the principal actor. So if you mess up, you say a word that you weren't supposed to, or you don't go to the right marks, everybody has to restart. So you
Oh,
feel the pressure. So when you see
yeah.
someone excel, you're like, that guy's a professional, seriously.
Yeah.
It's something that I definitely recommend to everybody to do it at least once. Um, you don't have to be living in LA to do it. You just sign up through Central Casting and they'll be letting you know of opportunities. And if the opportunity is worth it, I recommend making the drive.
Okay.
And
It's
that's something
interesting.
I did after, actually. I would commute to LA, but it just became harder and harder to do it. But the time that I spent being on set, like I learned so much, and it kind of grew the fire in me to really send me on my own discovery so I can make my own content. Yeah, because
Interesting.
before I was just like, I just want to be an actor. But being on set was like, okay, I want to make the movies. Like this is a pretty incredible experience that I want to be the head of,
Yeah. You
not
want to
so
be a
much
part
a
of
part of.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I feel you on that. So would you say you're still like pursuing that? Or
Yeah. I've been trying to use whatever we have around here. Like I got a bunch of equipment to film, but specifically like around here, like Springville. Like I feel like we're really lucky to live like that close to Springville. I don't know if you've had a chance to go up there, like
I might have
going going
some
east on the 190, I think, and
okay.
just going until you hit the mountains. It's just like a credible little small town that you would think it's in the Midwest, that's actually on the East Coast,
Oh
and
wow.
it feels like it's like in 1990. Like that's how it feels like the town
Oh
is in.
really?
Yeah, and there's
Interesting.
just so much shots that you could get. It's beautiful out there.
have you, since you said you're, I guess, like trying to film, would you say you've made any content? Or
Yeah,
is it mostly like you're in the process?
yeah, a lot of it is making it and then having the rough drafts and then editing it over and over and having different projects. I'm in the process of making one right now, but one thing that I've discovered that's kind of hard about not living in Los Angeles is finding actors. Um, Everybody wants to be in a movie until they have to learn lines, and that's something that I've discovered that it's tough. Um, Once you're in LA, there's like a million people that are willing to be in your projects, and that's why they call it like the mecca of filmmaking, specifically in the U.S. Well, there's many. There's like Atlanta, there's New York, but on the West Coast, it's Los Angeles. That's where you want
Yeah.
to be with like-minded individuals.
Sure.
But
No, I mean, I can see that because memorization in general, it is kind of a skill.
it
And
is,
and not even just memorizing it, but speaking it in a way that makes sense.
yeah. And then speaking it as a character or speaking it like so you're speaking it not as yourself, as a
Yeah,
character or as the person that you want to come across as.
yeah. I remember I forgot where I heard it, but it was something like it's not necessarily that you're trying to act, but it's more so you're trying to embody the character.
Exactly.
So
Because if you're trying to act, you could catch yourself like, oh, I'm doing really well.
yeah,
If you have that thought while you're doing a character, it's going to show on your face. You have
yeah,
to turn your thoughts into the characters. You have to become the character. Otherwise, it's going to show on your face. But
yeah,
once you do that, it's kind of get into a flow, and it feels great. Usually, if you're playing a well-written character, it should feel great. If you're uncomfortable, then there's something that you probably haven't internalized yet, that you're not in character completely, is what I'm trying to say.
yeah. No, actually, it's interesting.
Yeah,
You
but
know what's
it's
actually funny is that one of my like coaches actually, funny enough, he actually was like a stuntman for some like movies.
really
Yeah,
that's probably like the coolest gig.
yeah,
Like I've met stuff people on set and they go through a lot.
yeah,
Like specifically, I was on this football set where no, so whenever they shoot like a football series or something like that, the actors aren't actually playing football. They have them in the football gear and the pads and everything, but they have stunt guys that actually do the hits.
yeah.
And they were doing a sequence where the quarterback was getting sacked, getting hit, and he got a real concussion.
Oh,
Yeah, and they had to call actual paramedics. And I was like, oh, okay, that looks like that wasn't supposed to happen.
yeah,
And then, so it's like, what do you do then? Like, this set was like over 500 people
yeah,
in just background, not including crew or anything. So it's like, you can't just cancel. So what they did, they had the photo double, the person that they use like a stunt double, but just for pictures or for certain angles, just so the actor could get a break or even just like while they're setting up the shot. And they had to pretend to hit him. And they just couldn't get the shot down because the actor kept falling before actually getting hit and it didn't look realistic. And that's something that you see a lot on sets. Like anything could happen, and then you just got to roll with the punches.
yeah. You got to do best with what you got, basically.
Yeah. And there's another profession that's like stunt guys, but it's precision driving for like stunt drivers.
Yeah,
And that's probably the coolest set because sometimes you don't have to be doing something crazy. As long as you're driving in the shot, you have to be a professional for like safety reasons.
yeah,
And the school's not too long. It's kind of simple, and you get paid just to drive. Like pretty cool gig.
really. You know, that's
Yeah.
why I kind of respect Jackie Chan because I know he does his own stunts.
Oh yeah, him, Tom Cruise. Like these guys, they take it seriously. Like you could
Yeah,
tell. Um, I'm trying to think of another guy. Can't remember, but it was just off the top of my head. But whenever you, whenever these people do their own stunts, like there's a lot of risk. Brad Pitt used to do his own stunts.
Oh, really? Oh,
There was
I
a
thought.
movie where he cut his hand like pretty bad in one of the shots, and he continued to do it
Wait,
even
what
despite.
movie was it?
I can't remember. It was one of the older ones, but if you look it up, you could find it out. And there was
Was it
something.
Troy by any chance, or
No, it was kind of like it was like one of those noir style type films, like the scene happened in like an alley in New York, like he was trying to
oh,
jump,
okay.
and there's another case of like George Clooney where he had to do his own stunts and he hit his head, and I think it's, what do they call it? Spinal fluid came out of his ear.
What?
Yeah, and he
Oh,
says that he's been having issues since then. So there's a lot of risk doing your stunts. So I have a
yeah,
lot of respect for the people that do it.
yeah. No, that's for sure. If there was any movie you could be a part of, I guess, well, which movie would it be?
Mm, or like in type of a series, I think I might just be typecasting myself, but like Narcos, something with a lot of with a big Mexican cast where they're
Okay.
speaking like authentic Spanish, and then I could be one of those Mexicans that the Yo no Sabo kids that don't know Spanish. You just play that character.
Oh,
There's plenty of those, plenty of parts like that. But that series, the Nautical series, like it, they really want to give the story without glorifying them, and that's what I
okay.
like. Like, there's a ton of series on Netflix of glorifying all these drug traffickers, but Nauticals really gives the whole story without making them seem like heroes.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. So it
Yeah,
would be more like you would want to be in something that's more cultural based.
yeah. Everybody says like they want to be in Avengers or some like big franchise, but I just feel like you're putting yourself out there to you're you're not so much spreading yourself thin, but you're putting yourself on a pedestal. And then if you do anything bad at that point, then it's gonna come back to you.
Yeah.
Like once you play a hero, you become somebody's hero.
True.
So you kind of become a representative of that character, even though if you only played it once.
Yeah. Because people usually want to consistent, like especially if it's like something like that, people will want to see you in that again and again and again on a consistent basis. So,
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, I mean, technically you could quit, but there's going to be a lot of drawback. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Like Robert Downey Jr., everybody's gonna know him as Iron Man, though he's not.
Yeah.
He's done. You
Yeah.
know, and it's people have an emotional connection to those characters. Whereas
Yeah.
if you're playing it on an indie movie or something that's new, people don't really have that connection to it yet.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you could see the wrath of fanboys. Like if you're if you're on the receiving end of the hate, it's not good.
Yeah, that's true. So, out of like all the movies you've watched, which one would you say like stuck out to you?
Probably my most favorite movie and probably the one that inspired me the most was Interstellar. I don't know if you've
Interstellar.
seen that one with Matthew McConaughey.
I don't think so, no. I've heard of that one, but I haven't seen it though.
So I feel like Matthew McConaughey, he plays himself in almost every movies, like his accent, his voice, and it's like okay, you could see right through it. But in this movie, you really don't see Matthew McConaughey. You really see the character that he's trying to portray,
Yeah,
and it kind of shows you like how beautiful a movie could be because everything was on point in that movie. The music, the CGI, um, the mood, the pace, and the way it could be relatable. Like you could see it happening like in our time. And once they sell that, I feel like that's when you're in for an experience and not just watching a movie.
yeah, I can see that. So you said that that movie specifically inspired you to more so like pursue acting.
Yeah, because it was like this is a masterpiece. I identifying all the key aspects that make it a masterpiece, and it's it causes like a movie to go off in my head. Like a lot of the time, whenever I'm trying to write for like a project or something, it just pops up in my head like as a movie, like I'm watching it and experiencing it like for the first time, and then now I just putting it into paper and then putting it onto the screen so somebody else could experience what I just experienced.
Oh, I see what you mean. So
Yeah.
would you consider him like one of your like favorite actors?
No, not really because of
Oh,
that,
really?
because of him playing himself. Like there's Fool's Gold, Wolf of Wall Street. There's so many movies where he's just playing himself, but in that one he really like stepped it up.
Oh,
And not just
so
him, all the other actors in there. Like there's big names, and I always feel like um whenever you watch a movie with a big name actor, it kind of
yeah.
takes you out of the experience. It's like, oh, okay, I'm just watching um like say Robert Downey Jr. or what the guy from Django, not Jamie Foxx, Leonardo DiCaprio. These big
Oh, yeah.
name actors, and you're just watching them. Like I'm just watching him. It kind of
Yeah.
takes you out, but their performance is the one that brings you back in to the movie,
Yeah.
and you suddenly forget that this is an actor. Those are typically the ones that really draw me in.
Yeah. So who would you consider one of your favorite actors?
Probably have to be like Denzel Washington.
Oh, Denver Washington. Oh, yeah.
Like I can't think of a movie where he was bad in. Like
Yeah.
I also like to think of this movie that was adapted from a play. I think it's called Fences, and he plays like not an abusive dad, but a dad that's like kind of like hard, like emotionless to his family. And I didn't like the story of it. It was just one of those movies that makes you feel bad. It was about well, I don't. Oh, I'm just gonna ruin it anyway. It's basically about like a hardworking dad who's like
Yeah.
cold, but then he gets somebody else pregnant. So then he starts having marital issues with his wife because
Oh,
the girl that he was cheating on with dies. So now they're taking care of the kid together. And I just kept watching because his performance in it was so great. Like I was so pulled into it, but the story itself was like, God, this isn't something that I wanted to watch. And I
yeah.
think those are the best ones. Um, you don't really see a lot of actors like that these days.
Yeah.
They all kind of like play the same role, like
Yeah.
Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah. I feel you. One of my like favorite movies that I like watched was like I don't know if you've heard of it, but Troy.
Troy, yeah,
Yeah, with Brad Pitt. Yeah,
yeah,
that one.
that's a really good one, and
Yeah.
that's one of those masterpieces where it's just good across the board.
Yeah.
The acting from him and Joaquin Phoenix,
Yeah.
like when I
And
watch
yeah.
when you
I
watch
forgot the guy's
Joaquin
name.
Phoenix,
Yeah.
yeah, the king, right, the one that goes like this, like you kind of build like a resentment against him. Like I
Oh
hate this
yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
And
That's how you know they're playing the part really well. When you like either
exactly.
you like them really a lot or you hate them.
Yeah. But if you're like, oh, I don't care, that's when
Yeah.
it's like that's what you don't want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
Um
So before we end off, do you have anything you want to say that you didn't get a chance to say?
uh no, I feel like I got the point across was like anybody should anybody and everybody should experience this at least once. Like see how the sausage is being made. And,
Yeah.
like once you get like a good example of how movies are made,
Yeah.
then you know what to ask for, what how to create a demand for good movies. Because I feel like right now we're in a spot where movies are just being mass produced just to get eyes, the same way
Yeah.
content on your feed is just made to get your attention.
Yeah.
Like the past couple of movies that I've been watching have just been disappointing, and it just that's the vibe that I get. It's like the trailer just enough to get you in, and then the rest is just
It doesn't
what
live up to its part. Yeah.
that, and it's like it's trying to promote not so much a message, but it's trying to like appease certain people. Like if
Yeah.
somebody has a group of people have a viewpoint, okay, this movie's for them. And it's they're not challenging viewers like as like they used to, like putting viewers in like compromising positions like oh like one series that I think about that's not like a movie or a TV show is like One Piece. No, not One Piece.
Oh,
Death Note.
oh, Death Note.
So
Okay.
the main character is really charismatic and he's really smart and it gets you to go to root for him despite him being really bad. And I think that's we need more content like that, the ones that really challenge what you really think and how you perceive people.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that. So, I was really honored to have you on here and,
Oh, I
everything that you
appreciate
shared and like the insight of like Hollywood in general. Like it was really interesting, honestly.
I appreciate it. No, it was interesting for me, and I hope everybody could experience it at one point.
Yeah.
Um, and I also hope that I could, if I can't get people to go to Hollywood and experience it, then I hope that I could bring projects down to here where there aren't many,
Yeah.
and find people that really are interested in something like that, and give them the opportunity that I wish I would have gotten. Like if there was someone out here making projects and offering parts for me to audition for, like I feel like that would have been huge in me. Like I could have probably had a step up by the time I got to Hollywood.
Yeah. No, I feel
Uh,
you. I I might consider it
no,
then.
I appreciate it. If you're willing to learn lines, like you would
Yeah.
be surprised how rare that is these days.
Yeah. No, I mean I could probably learn a few lines. I think I
Yeah,
can. Yeah.
yeah, and
I'll
then
I'll, I'll give it a shot. Just let me know.
yeah, and I also like was thinking of making like a club somewhere. Well, not specifically here, so I know like who is interested around me instead of having to look for all these people. I could just
Yeah.
have a community where I could have like-minded individuals and we could work on something and yeah,
You
and
know
just
what
be
could
inspired.
work? Yeah, I think if you had like a Discord, that probably could help.
Discord. Yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't been on it, but I've seen and I've heard the success that it does with
Yeah.
certain groups and movements.
Yeah. Just because there's no number of group like people that you can have. It's like I think it's unlimited if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
So you can have as many people on there as you want.
Unfortunately, I've only seen the memes.
Yeah.
Like God has left the chat or all that. Or Santa Claus has left the chat, stuff like that.
Yeah. No, I feel you. No,
Yeah,
but I was really happy to have you on here. And for everyone that's watching this, please like and subscribe so that we can get more great content like this. And, hopefully, I can make it to Hollywood too, just like you.
yeah. If all my friends could make it, that's the dream.
Yeah.
And help
Yeah.
each other along the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah, don't forget to hit the bell notification so you get like an update on each video that made on this channel. But until next time, peace.
Peace.